That was about 30 yards. Welcome back to the My Pro Golfer channel. Today we've got a bunch of tools and systems in place for you to help you learn how to shape not only your pitch shots, but also your full swing with a little help from our foresight and just some shaft angles that'll really explain the path and the spin that you're trying to invoke on the ball in this session of How to Play Golf. Hey, thanks for watching today's episode. Here at My Pro Golfer, you know we like to keep things simple. And today, I've got a special gift for you to help you never miss a 5-foot putt again. Click the link below and download today. All right, so not all of you are going to have a Foresight launch monitor to tell you every single thing of the spin of the ball and the trajectory and the ball speed and the angles and all that stuff, and that's okay. You don't need it. Obviously, at the highest level, you'll see this machine, the Foresight. I got the GC3, and most of the tour players play a quad. It's just one extra camera in there to just give them a little bit more information that they're going to want, but they're also playing for millions of dollars. So a $10,000 machine like this, to them, it's not a big deal, where to you and I, it may be a serious deal. That's why I'm going to forecast it, talk a lot about it in most sessions from here on out, just because the information is vital when you get to the higher levels and knowing exactly what your ball is doing so that you can play the optimal shot for the situation. For today's purposes, we're going to simplify it. We're going to use $6 worth of alignment rods that I got from Home Depot and other places around town that will essentially do the same thing in theory of understanding the path and what's going to do with the spin of the ball. So the main thing that you got to realize is you got to be on the correct target line. So this middle line, the black line here, is our target line, which is matching up with this line, which is going to be parallel to everything that we're going to try to do. So as you step back from the camera, and I'm going to bring this back a little bit, know that these three lines are here, and each are providing you with a path from your club on your target line that's going to make the ball spin differently based on how the face matches the body. So if the club is going in to out and the club is beating the body, you're going to naturally hit a draw. If you're open and the club is going across the body and the body is out racing the club, then the ball is going to spin from left to right for a right-handed player. And I'm going to stay with the right-handed group today just because it's easiest for me. I'm not very good swinging left-handed. This is going to be the consistency and the information that we'll talk about today so that you can understand how to create a model that will show you what you want to see in the spin that a Foresight would give you while having some real tools, visual tools, to make sure that you're seeing how the spin works. All right, so anything that we want to accomplish, anything that we want to change and make new, we want to make sure that we can rehearse it in the shorter version first. So you can see the flags out there. Out here at Summerfield Crossings Golf Club, I always try to make very clear indicators for students to practice. So we've got 10 yards between each spot. Station 10, each flag is 10 yards on a slight angle so you can see it. And we're going to hit some shots to the 10-yard one here to understand path. And so path, this yellow line is matching up with the black line, which is our target line. And if you look back at the camera, the target line is where the camera is at. So my body's going to be slightly off plane for that so that you can get a sense of what we're trying to look at here. So if I'm swinging a plane on the target line, that's going to go back to the target line, come through the ball, and exit on the target line. That should create a pretty straight golf shot. Now, if I'm trying to get the ball to go in to out and hit a little to the right, then my path is going to be this way. I'm going to feel the arm closer to the body, and my path is going to work from in to out down that green line. Now, if I just swing that way and I'm a little bit open, that club is going to keep the ball out to right center there, right side, and that ball is just going to stay out on that path line. So if I do the same thing and I get myself built in the stance and I bring the club out and across, I'm going to create a slight pull of the target line and move the ball slightly to the left. And as long as my body and arms match up, it's going to go just a little bit of a pull to the left. staying that way. And in the next series, I'm gonna show you from that path and the setup how the curvature will happen based on what my body has done in the built-in phase. All right, so I hope we clearly defined that information for you. You can see these lines, so in to out, out to in, and dead square down the target line. To curve the ball, the face has got to be moving in an angle around the golf ball. So the whole point of compression and putting the golf ball into the face is that we're trying to get the club face to bend the shaft with the compression of the golf ball. And so if the path is in to out and we compress it and the toe moves, it's going to make the ball roll and spin this way. It's harder to visualize it in the shorter shot, but it's important to practice it in the shorter shot. And then if we're a little out and across, digging it in and the club face cutting across the ball, as you can see there in the visual, then the ball is going to spin to the right. And so let's just talk a little bit about the pitch shot version of that. Bryson DeChambeau talks about kind of going in to out, letting his toe release and basically hitting little hook chips all day long, and that's something that he has just become comfortable with. So you want to find which one of these feels really comfortable, and you want to play the most comfortable shot as often as possible. So we're going to see the club come in and out and the toe turn up. That's going to create a slightly hooky or drawy chip shot. And that ball started out right. You can see the divot, just a hair heavy. I hit about a 20-yard pitch that will spin from right to left. So now let's watch just a straight on, straight through one, causing the same type of mindset where the club's gonna come straight back and straight through and hold that face open. This should launch a little higher and maybe about the same distance. So you see how that technique is kind of just changes what the ball does in the air as you watch the ball actually move. So now we're going to keep this body square. We're going to cut across it, hitting it on the same target line, but with slightly different spin and height. And I thin that a little bit. Give me one more shot. That's the shot for me that is a little bit more uncomfortable. So I may not use that under tournament pressure until I get quite a bit better at it. Now you see the height coming back, and that's going to spin a lot and stop. You see a video I did before called the Xander. He did that shot at the Open and saved him at least 2 shots for the moment that he was in, which is a hard shot. So you got to practice that shot, make sure you're confident and comfortable with that shot. It's a shot that he prepared for in order to make sure in the moment he could pull it off without any hesitation. All right, now you've seen the pathway for, a shorter club just hitting pitch shots. Let's get into it with an 8-iron here and just see what the changes would look like. So the same rules apply. The body wants to be square, and changing the path will be easier. When we get to creating an excessive movement left or right or left, I'll teach you how to get the body in those positions. So I just want to take an understanding of the path and feel what's most comfortable. So the path is also step 5 or 6 of the olive tree method. And the reason why we wait on path to 5 or 6 because I want the body to move correctly. So take into consideration, if you have not watched the olive tree method videos and worked on there, go down the playlist, find the playlist that's set up, start there. Then go setup, turn, impact, and finish in that order, making sure that you're moving correctly before you attempt this. This is great information, but it's only helpful if it's timely. If you can't do this because your body's not in the positions to do it, this video for you is irrelevant, and you need to go to the playlist to get yourself built to do this. So let's talk about the build real quick. I've got to make sure that I'm in my balanced athletic position, which every single tour player is in. That's why it's so pivotal to be the first thing that you work on. And then path is 5th or 6th, depending on how good your grip is. My grip's pretty good. I'm going to stick with step 6 because I'm going to walk right over step 5, which is path. So path is in to out, should create a natural spin of the ball this way. When my path is out to in, I'm going to make a significant change, and the ball will spin more that way. If I'm trying to hit it high and spinny and stop fast, I'm going to try to think about a cut shot, a movement that's across. Now, it also lowers my distance just a little bit, so keep that in mind as you're playing. That's where a foresight would come into play and really be helpful for the moment. So as I'm cutting across, that ball's going to go higher, spin a little bit more, land and stop soft. That's why people at Augusta National, when they were natural high cutters or could play that shot regularly, generally win there. You don't have a lot of draw players winning that tournament. So here we are, we're relaxed, our body's good. We're gonna go straight back, straight through first, so you can see that image right behind me. That was very well struck, nice and solid, just slight pull means my arms beat my body just a little bit. I wanna change that up. Now, we're gonna go right into out. So I'm not gonna change anything in my setup in this particular point. I might play it just slightly back in my stance, and then we're gonna swing into out. I want you to really focus that on the video screen. You can see the difference in the path. The strike was about the same, and just like we thought, it stayed out to the right just slightly. Very happy with that result and that sound. Now, we're gonna do the same exact swing setup, but swing out and across. No change in my actual setup to make the path be more understood by the audience. You should see the divots be different. You should see the path be different in the swing, and you should start to understand the feel of how to hit the different starting points of the golf ball. Hey, just want to remind you to not forget on getting your free gift below on how to never miss a 5-foot putt. All right, so you just heard me say starting points, and starting points are pivotal because if you're not starting the ball on the correct path, then the club face won't affect the change that you want to get the ball to spin. So instead of going straight back, straight through, which is what we just did, we're actually going to start with the curvature of the golf ball. So now we're going to be into out with a stance that's slightly shut to the target, which will naturally close the club face against my body and start the ball on green and turn it to at least black, maybe even orange. So here we go, a little bit back in my stance. You'll see my stance look very similar. Now we're going to slightly shut everything, slightly shut my shoulders, keeping the club face exactly where it was, and then swinging along my path. And even though that was a little heavy, you could hear it hit the bag. I hooked that all the way left of black, right in between black and orange. Now, we're going to try to do the exact opposite. We're going to get the club path set at black, and then we're going to build our stance open, shoulders open, golf ball slightly ahead, and then swinging down my body line just like we did. And I'm going to find out what's the most comfortable for me, and that was a pretty heavy cut and a little deep maybe that actually ended up landing right of my green flag. So I've just done too much work to showcase the spin. Now I'm going to do it without a lot of thought and be more calm about it. Just subtleties, which I don't want to do a lot of curvature. I just want the ball to be spinning into the pin the way I want to avoid as much as possible the trouble around us. And that ball started out right, drew in, kind of in a more comfortable looking, more natural place for me. And now I'm going to do the same fade, just a little less excessive for you, the audience. Just a soft setup, soft opening of my shoulders, so that same move now creates that gentle cut. All of them coming in, down, in between the cone of these. So wherever this is, I don't want my most right shot to be in trouble. And whatever shape this is, the cone, depending on the length of the club and how far the ball's going, I don't want that aimed at any trouble either. So I'm going to aim myself away from trouble, shape the shot in towards the pin or the landing zone off the tee. So if you're fans of the channel, you want to remember that everything I do here comes from some of your comments. So if you enjoyed today's understanding of the path and how the club face relates to the body and how to hit shot shapes, comment below and give me some feedback and say, hey, I'm confused about this or that. I want to put a video together that'll make sense for you so that over time you can follow the channel and have one voice in your head so that you can constantly get better at golf. The problem with golf instruction is that there's a lot of voices. And so if you're getting conflicting information or you're not on a pathway to get better, if you're working with an instructor that changes what they want to work on each week, we want to create a system that the tour players have proven that works every time. And that's why I created the olive tree method. So remember, we're in step 5 or 6 right now. If you have not done step 1 through 4, go into setup, turn, impact, and finish playlists, knock those out. If you like today's video, like it. If you like it, subscribe. We'll see you next Thursday at 6 a.m.